Earlier today we were talking about how is one of those Mondays where some good things happen but some bad things happened, and I was lucky enough to be telling stories earlier today in a school, so that was my good part of the day today. So I thought about a couple of stories we could tell because our theme this month is dads and grads, so I thought this story I think will fit. Now, the story I'd like to tell you tonight is about Nasrudin. And if you haven't heard about Nasrudin, well, I got to tell you a little bit about him. See, Nasrudin, he comes from Turkey or other places in the Middle East. And it was said of Nasrudin, he was as wise as the heavens are wide. And he was as foolish as the ocean is deep. We see that was Nasrudin, a wise fool. And even though he was a wise fool, everyone was coming to him for advice all the time. And Nasrudin was a father. He had one daughter, and she was coming of that age, you know, when fathers begin to worry about the daughters. You know what I'm talking about. And he knew he had to have that talk with her. He had to tell her something, but he wasn't exactly sure how to do it. So he thought, and he thought, and he thought, and finally he came up with an idea. He said, "Daughter, sit down. I have to talk to you. Daughter, let me tell you about men. I was a man once. I know what men want. They only want one thing. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Some man is going to admire you for your long brown hair and your deep brown eyes and your beautiful brown skin. And then he's going to ask you out. And when you say yes and you're going out, he'll just happen to say he forgot his coat at home and he has to go back and get it. And once you're out in front of his house, he doesn't want to be a bad host, so he'll invite you up, and once you're up, he'll play the perfect host. He'll invite you to sit down on the couch. He'll turn on some beautiful music. He'll get you some tea and pour it for you and sit next to you. And then, daughter, he will jump on top of you and he will violate you. But he won't just be violating you, he'll be violating me. And he won't just be violating me, he'll be violating your mother and your grandmother and your grandfather and your whole entire family." Well, Nasrudin's daughter listened really closely and nodded her head at all the right spots, and he knew she understood. She got it right. He had done his job. He was a good father. He had nothing else to say. Well, about a month passed by. When Nasrudin's daughter came up to him, she said, "Father, are you a prophet? Can you see the future? Because just what you said would happen happened. There was a man who admired me for my long brown hair and my deep brown eyes and my brown skin, and he asked me out. And when we were going out, he just happened to say he left his coat at home and had to go and get it. And once we were at his house, he didn't want to leave me outside, so he invited me up. And once I was up in his apartment, he was the perfect host. He offered me a seat. He turned on some beautiful music. He made us some tea and sat down next to me. And then, Father, and then you'll see why I'm your daughter." And I listened very closely. Before he could do anything else, I jumped on top of him and I violated him and his mother and his father and his entire family. And that's the story of Nasrudin and his daughter.